Hello everyone out there, it's HK Fanatic here. Tonight I'm going to be shooting a clip on my latest acquisition to my collection of Heckler & Koch firearms. It is the HK MP5 SD6 .22 long rifle. And I know there's already been a lot of people making clips on this weapon, and I've heard a lot of pros and cons, things people like, they don't like. They've compared it to the GSG, and in most of the reviews I've seen, it has been considered to be the better choice of the two if you're going to purchase one of these. And of course it's sitting next to its cousin over there, the excellent Sig Sauer 522, and a couple of my red dots down there that I'm going to be talking about a little bit in short order here. So without further ado, let's get on with the review. First thing I want to discuss is accuracy of the gun itself. Now, as we can see already here with the magazine, obviously you have the visibility slots on the side, and of course I can see why they have to make them that way. And of course on the very bottom there you can see, I don't know if you see it clearly, but Walther P22, sorry about that, I'm thinking about my pistol there. Because the weapon itself is made by Karl Walther's plant in Germany under contract from HK, which means the design and specifications were from HK, and the plant simply builds the weapon in accordance with that contract. So a lot of people think, well, what does this mean? Is it an HK? Is it a Walther? HK has put their trademark on the weapon, and that's all you need to know. It's very reliable from the reports I've seen from other people who've gone and shot it, which is one of the things that really initially drew me towards the weapon. The one I was gonna get was the version with the standard A2 hand grip on it, but I saw this version and I'm like, well, wow, that is a good looking gun and it looks accurate. The poor man before could only get an airsoft weapon, and that was the closest thing he would ever get to the real thing. This one not only looks like its bigger brother, it has some very good attributes to it that I have found to be very, very positive, at least in my camp. First of all, take a look at the actual trigger pack. Now here you have a trigger pack which is an actual G3 lower, or the SEF trigger pack, however you want to refer to it. And I've shot a clip on this already, but disassembly and some of the finer factors of it. But if you look at it, and I will remove the other trigger pack so we can put them side by side and take a look. As a matter of fact, I'll do that first. I'm going to take a look here. It's very easy to disassemble. Simply pop out your pin. It's a little tight right now, but you pop it out. You can remove the rear buttstock. And down comes your trigger pack. Let's go ahead and remove the pin here. Here's the magazine. Move the lower trigger pack here. And we can remove the trigger pack from the weapon. Alright, I'm going to set it up here like this because I do not want to get a lot of material in there. It hasn't been shot yet. So we're going to put them side by side here to take a look. Okay. Let me see and make sure I get everything in view. Put my pins out of the way here. And these actually are HK pins, and you can see that the gun itself is well oiled, maybe more than it needs to be in accordance with what the manual says. And we'll go into the manual in a minute also. Here you go. Your two trigger packs here. And as you can see, the size is actually what it should be. Of course, the real MP5, the actual trigger pack itself looks exactly like this, except, and matter of fact, it looks exactly like this. But with this version, what's been done here is inside you essentially have a trigger pack that will function like that, because here this will cock and come forward and actually strike the actual this is the actual hammer of the weapon right here. But everything is contained within its own aluminum block, and of course you can see here the proof marks here along the side of the weapon. And yes, it is well lubricated. Look at the back of the trigger. Same type, same exact design and shape of trigger, and the same polymer bodies. So this mechanism pretty much allows it to stay pretty clean. You can disassemble it, because as you can see there are pins, there are actually Allen heads and some bolts here you can actually remove that will enable you, and a push pin here. So you could actually break it down even further as you need for maybe additional or replacement of a part or something. So and of course operation very smooth, positive. And of course you can also, just like its bigger brother, you can remove the actual selector switches. So let's go ahead and continue on here. Again, assembly and disassembly is very easy. Oh, one more point. You can actually adjust. There's a screw in here that you can raise or lower, and if you follow the instructions in the manual, it tells you exactly what you need to do to adjust it, so you can either increase or decrease the speed in which the bolt operates. Now you're going to use this for various grades of ammunition you may be firing. And here's where you can also look and see that this plate inside comes apart, and there's an undersection above there that can also be removed, but you're going to have to come in and remove some more smaller screws, so it's definitely going to be doing a little research to look into that. But the receiver is made out of aluminum, so again, considering, here's a little close-up of the bolt itself. It's an inner bolt housed inside of an outer bolt housing, and I don't know if you can see them clearly, but there are the proof marks right here. DE, if I'm correct, that mark there's Oberdorf. It's proof house markings, and of course HK's dating system, which you can look these up online to see what the letters, they'll specify the model and the year. And of course here's your serial number there. More proof marks on the inner bolt, because each component in Germany has to be tested to pressures matching or exceeding that of the operation of the actual weapon itself. And of course here's your serial number again, and of course made by Karl Walter in Germany, but it is a little bit over oiled, but that's okay, won't hurt anything. Let's go ahead and slap it back together. As you can see, disassembly is very easy. All you do is put your trigger pack and the bottom trigger pack back in, set it in there, get that lower pin installed. Once that lower pin's installed, you can come in, insert your butt stock or your extendable stock in here. And then just push it in. It is a little snug now, but it's still easily removable by hand. And of course, so we've already taken a look to see that the trigger pack is one for one with HK equipment, and looks exactly the same, except for, of course, this is the older style selector switch. Now only two positions, of course, a single bullet and a white strike through, which indicates safe and fire for a semi-automatic weapon. Now, one thing I have placed on this weapon that didn't come with it is this low riser mount. If you want to mount a red dot sight that will sit as low as possible, and I'm not positive if I'll be able to get one low enough to enable me to still be able to use the sights, because this diopter sits pretty low, but we'll see, because I'm going to go pick up a Bushnell TRS-25 and see what I can work in with that. Few things this has that the GSG does not have. This has a sling mounting point, and it has a slightly adjustable front post here in the triple frame. There's your adjustment screw for it, and it comes with a replacement. Now, to actually disassemble the weapon, it comes with a special key you can put in the end of the barrel here to actually enable you to unscrew the false suppressor. But if you listen, oh yes. Anyway, you unscrew it. It sounds like you're tapping an expensive golf driver. And you just unscrew this, it slides off, and then you can get to the other components can be removed. One thing about the barrel though, the version that came with the A2 handle, or the A2 front grip, had a solid, it appeared to be a one-piece barrel, and for some reason they've gone to a sleeved inner barrel on this one, and I don't know if you can see enough light in there to really see this, and probably not, but you can just see the inner sleeve there. You won't even see the outer sleeve until you remove the simulated integral suppressor. Of course, the charging handle can be locked up, slapped, no problem. The weapon has one feature that I do like, that, if I'm correct, does not occur on an MP5. When you're out of ammunition, the bolt locks to the rear. So what you have to do is get your new magazine in there, then simply pull the bolt to the rear position all the way back and let it go forward, and and the bolt will be released. I can live with that. So I've heard a lot of people on some of their clips about this talking about how Umarex made the gun, this, that, and the other. Umarex only is involved in distribution of this weapon. They have nothing to do with the manufacturing. The entire manufacturing process was by Carl Walther. And of course, there's another proof mark again, the same one. Maybe you can see a little better sight there. I'm not going to go too much into the gear that comes with it, because I'm sure everyone's watched some of these unboxing videos, and the packaging is very nice. It comes in a good sized box. Everything's cut to place. One magazine, and comes with a locking device to lock the trigger. And of course, it comes with the Allen wrench you need and all the tools you'll need to actually do basic maintenance on this weapon. But other than that, you're ready to go. Now, I haven't taken it or breaking it down to the maintenance level, because I haven't gone and shot this yet. When I do shoot it and everything appears to be working normally, then I will break it down to that point and actually film another clip where you can actually see the other components. And it's kind of a negative point, the barrel, but it's so well secured in here, held in place by the outer barrel, that it's not going to move. And I saw the groups that this on this one video that he had mounted a scope, a 3-power scope on there, middle dot reticle scope, and went and actually shot very, very, very good grouping with it. And I think he was shooting some of the more expensive CCI. I have some of that Raptor high velocity. I have 100 rounds of that, and it's getting almost impossible to get, so I am not going to shoot that. I'm going to save that for when I really need it. When I bought this, they threw in 100 rounds of CCI Blazer, so I'm probably just going to go shoot that, although I'm not crazy about shooting ammunition is straight lead, I prefer to either have copper or plated ammunition of some kind. It's a lot easier to clean the copper out of your bores than it is to clean the lead. So that's just a little preference I have. Maybe it's being a little bit overprotective, but still, I've gotten used to shooting. I've stockpiled some of that lead stuff. If it comes down to it, yeah, you can shoot it, but I prefer not to. Save it for that real rainy day. So, of course, the stock itself is very easy to extend. So as you can see, when it's actually in its compact position, it is, I think it's right on compared to its bigger brother. The actual cutout for the bolt is similar, except of course that the submachine gun versions have a one-piece. Well, the actual section of the bolt is one piece. You don't see any gradations like this, and they're always painted a greenish. They always have a dark greenish tint to them, which I don't know. I might look into doing with this one, because the only part, but I don't want to cover over my proofs, so I'll probably just leave it with the way it looks here. It looks pretty good. Tomorrow I'm going to go pick up a good sling for it, so I can put the sling on and test it around. But I'll tell you right now, from the weight, this is heavier than this by almost a pound. And I thought the SIG was a little bit, well, weight side was decent anyway. Definitely almost a pound, maybe more, and some change heavier. I'd say this baby weighs in at about between 6 and 7 pounds maybe, which is not far off from its, I don't know, maybe right around 6. I'm gonna put it on a scale tomorrow and we'll see exactly what the weight comes out to. But we'll take it for its field trials. And one thing you are going to find, if you're going to put a red dot sight on here, even with this low riser here, now if you get a high riser, of course, obviously, your red dot sight is going to sit up higher. This, you could mount a low riser scope, but you have to make sure it's forward enough to clear your diopter here, or otherwise you're going to have a collision with it. So I'm thinking I'm just going to get a red dot that I can mount here, and of course I'm not going to be able to have any type of co-witnessability with that, but that's alright. I may pick up the Vortex sight that I was looking at, and we'll see how that's going to work. If not, I'll get the Bushnell TRS-25, which should be able to mount on this area here, because you have these are your mounting points that actually mount to the sections on the upper receiver here. And as you can see, although this side has the cut for it, pardon me, I'm not on camera again. This BSA here has the cut section here. It'll be just fine. The backing plate is a solid piece of aluminum, and you don't get the clearance. It has to be able to be level to be able to get that to sit in there. Of course, I may just get a quick thin mount to just temporarily put this NC Star up on top. It is a copy of the Aimpoint Comp. It has a decent dot in it, but the objective is too small. Of course, you know, it's a $25 knockoff, but it has very good brightness. For a button battery, for 3 button cells in the LR44s, it gets a really bright dot. I was surprised. And even though the lenses aren't glass, they're actually plexi or a hardened plastic of some kind. I took, bright daylight today at high noon. I went out with a dot on the brightest setting. I could see it no matter what background I looked at. Light background, dark background. So it actually worked pretty well. But big drawback number 1. These are not caps. This is your actual adjustment device. So if you go and screw in this thinking you're going to take it off, you're actually adjusting your elevation. And here you're actually going to adjust your windage. So you have to make sure you don't knock them, bump them, or hit them, or the dot will move. and there's no real clicks to adjust it. It just moves. So that's a big drawback. But then again, you get what you pay for, like I said, 25 bucks. It looks good, and it has a decent dot, so once you adjust it to, I guess, whatever range you're going to normally shoot out at, just leave it there, and then you're going to have to compensate. So anyway, till I get the Vortex, I've had that. That was more. I had that mounted on one of my 22 rifles, and I just set it up for about 50 yards, and it worked great. I didn't have any problems with it, at least not as far as 22 goes. So accuracy. Well, that's all going to have to do with how long the barrel is. So let's try to do a quick comparison here. See about where the barrel length runs. So as you can see here, matching up the ends of the barrels, the barrel length is actually a little longer than the SIG, but not by much, because of course the suppressor. The magazine does kind of move a little in there. I don't really like that, but I shot the real MP5 on many an occasion when I was still in the military. I was qualified as range master, so I would take a lot of groups through to do the qualification shoots, and I would get the opportunity to shoot a lot of different types of weapons, and eventually I went and just qualified so that way I could, be able to actually teach with those weapons as well. When the MP5 had pretty tight magazine fit, it didn't move quite as much as this, but you know what? I've seen videos of people shooting this thing as fast as they can pull the trigger, and no misfeeds. Of course, with cheap ammo, you can't help the fact that some of those bullets just are not going to. Some of the rounds are not going to, or they're not going to fire. The firing pin's going to hit the rim of the cartridge, and it's not going to shoot. So the only thing you can do is just eject that sucker out and keep going. But I haven't had many of those, considering I've shot the Federals, I've shot the Remingtons, and I haven't really had any. I think out of all the hundreds of rounds I've shot, I've had maybe one dud. So, okay, accuracy, yeah, that's where you're going to see the difference. But still, the idea of a 22 is that, hey, ammo's cheap, and you can get plenty of it, or you used to be able to get plenty of it, so you can just go and spend as much time on the trigger as you want. Not the case anymore. Now, like I said, fortunately, when I bought this, the gun shop, I've done a lot of business with them down here in South Texas. I bought this at Glick Twins, and the guy sold me 100 rounds of ammo pretty cheap. It was CCI Blazer, but I'll still go out and shoot it, just to get everything sighted in and put the gun through some of its paces. So until we really get to that point, there's not that much more I can really go on, and this video has gone on quite a bit. So once I do that, I'll shoot a few clips of shooting, and of course how accurate it is on the targets, and we'll bring those targets back and look them over and do another clip on them. So until I finish with the second part, this is HK Fanatic out.